So this is a tutorial series I'm starting on Premiere Pro. I'll be trying to release these episodes maybe twice or thrice a week. I'll probably get this whole thing completed by the upcoming 2 or 3 months. Basically, if you watch this tutorial from the very beginning, you're gonna be able to learn this Premiere Pro from the ground up without any issues. And even if you are experienced, then you might want to check my other videos that I'll be making on lumetri color correction, color grading, audio mixing, things like that. Okay, first of all, when you start Premiere Pro, on the very beginning, you're gonna see this splash screen. This is what we call a splash screen. So basically, it starts up when you start up Premiere Pro, and yeah, I'm gonna be going through all the shortcuts for PC and Mac. In PC we have control, whereas in Mac we have command, things like that. I'm gonna be going through all that. Shortcuts are mostly very similar, just Alt, and Alt is called Option in Mac. Yeah, that's the main difference. Mostly shortcuts are similar. Okay, so this is your Premiere Pro splash screen. Here you can see your recent documents, test, YouTube. These are some projects I have been working on lately. So here you can create a new project, open a new project. So for this purpose of this video, I'm going to be creating a new project. Okay, so let's name this is the name of your project. Let's name this test project. Now, this is the location of your project. This is not the location where you're going to be exporting your video. You're going to be saving your project. So for some reasons I have set it to Bandicam, but you can change it to the document. For you, the location would be like this, but I have changed it to Bandicam. You can change your location wherever you want by browsing, desktop, wherever you want. Say you want it to be in D drive, so create D drive, go to D drive, select downloads, and you might select this folder. That's up to you which folder you're going to select. Okay, so now here comes the renderer option. So there are two options. Say I'm using on a Windows PC, so it shows me GPU acceleration CUDA, which is for NVIDIA, and then there is software only. Do not choose software only because it's going to utilize your CPU, and the rendering time of the video will be much longer than the CUDA. Basically, you're going to use Mercury Playback Engine GPU acceleration CUDA. All the recent graphics cards by NVIDIA and AMD both are supported. So if for some reason you're not getting this option, go online, search, and you'll probably find a fix to edit the text documents so that you can change the renderer to your graphics card. For Macs, you're going to be seeing OpenCL option, but I would suggest you to stick to CUDA because CUDA is going to be way more faster than OpenCL. So next up is video. So this is basically what you want your video to display in format. If you are working with a film to video transition, then timecoder is the most popular one. You can also use feed plus frames 16mm or 13.5mm. That's up to you. You can also display the video formats by frames. That is also useful, but for this purpose we're going to be sticking to timecode. This is the most common that is being used worldwide. So now for audio, you have two options: display format audio samples, which basically goes by the frame rates, or you can do milliseconds. I'd suggest you to use audio samples if you are not using that nitty-gritty audio mixing effects. Otherwise, if you are using audio mixing, if you are using Premiere Pro for audio mixing, then you would probably go with milliseconds, but we're not going to be doing audio mixing as of now, so I'm going to be using audio samples. And capture format is mostly HDV these days. You have a camera that is high definition, it will be recording on HDV. This is basically irrelevant. The older cameras use DV format to record, but nowadays most common cameras use HDV format, so this is irrelevant. you're gonna be changing the format anyways, so that doesn't matter. Now scratch disk. This is basically, I would suggest you to leave this same as project, all this. If you want your captured video and captured audio be at different place, then you're gonna be choosing these documents or custom or browse, then choosing the location where you want it to be saved, and if you want them to be combined, then you're gonna be leaving the same goes for the video and audio previews. Project autosave is the location where your projects are going to be saved. Premiere uses a time gap to save your projects. So if you forget to save your project, then Premiere is going to be saving your project after a certain time, 3 or 5 minutes interval. This is the location where your project is going to be saved at a certain interval. And there is this CC libraries download, where you're going to be downloading, if you're going to be downloading from the general libraries, where the download is going to take place. This is the location for that. I'd suggest you leave this almost the same. So yeah, this is the main settings. Now hit OK. Okay, so within the software, you're going to be going to preferences. Okay, so for Windows PC, you're going to be seeing preferences under this edit tab, but if you use a Mac, then you're going to be seeing there is an option Adobe Premiere Pro CC before file, and if you click that, you'll be seeing this preferences option. So if you go inside any one of this tab, this dialog box is going to show up. You'll be getting all the preferences. So each one of these has so many different settings. You can mess with that. I'm not going to be going through all of them, but I'm going to be going through some of them which are very important for you. So start them. So under general, you're going to be seeing video transition default duration. You see it is 24 frames, or maybe it may be 30 frames for your system, depending on the file type you're working. If you're working on a 24 frames, this means that every second you're going to be seeing 24 frames during the transition. Now see, video transition is default duration is 30 frames. That means, let's say you're applying a video transition like dissolve, so this is going to be applied to 30 frames per second. So still image default duration is when you're importing a photo, this is the time period for which the photo is going to last. So if you're using a video where you have too many photos, you might want to increase the still image duration time. See, here is 30 frames per second transition duration. So 5 seconds means it is going to be 150 frames. So yeah, this is 150 frames for which the photo is going to last. If you want this photo to last longer, you can change the time anyways. I suggest you do this by seconds. That is going to be more convenient for you too. And then there is this default scale to frame size. I suggest you leave this check mark, because let's say you are using a video that has, so you're working with a timeline of 4K resolution. Now you import a video that is 1920 by 1080 pixels. So basically what it is going to do, if this button is unchecked, what it is going to do is that you're going to be seeing your 1920 by 1080 video in a smaller size in your timeline, because your timeline is 4K. So to avoid that, check this button, check mark this button. So to avoid that, check mark this button, because this is going to scale your video to that timeline. This is very convenient when you're editing videos that have different sizes. Otherwise you have to scale the video every time you use a different size video in your different timeline size. So let's go to appearance. This is the slider for brightness. You can make it light, you can make it bright, dark. I suggest you leave it darker because I like dark. It's up to you what you're going to use. You can change the highlight color as well. Now for audio and audio hardware, I'm not going to be going through audio that much right now because I'm not going to be using this for audio mixing. You can change some things if you're gonna be doing 5.1, but I'm not gonna be going over all these things in this video right now because I'll be doing a separate tutorial on audio mixing as well. Stay tuned for that. This audio hardware is important if you're setting up a studio, but right now this is not that important. So autosave, this is the time period for after which a project is going to be saved, and maximum project version is going to be 20. You see, you can always increase the autosave time. Like I have set it to 3 minutes, but you can change it to 10 or 15 minutes. But see, 15 minutes of work is a lot of work. Suppose you forget to save this and certainly your computer turns off for some reason and you're gonna lose all those work. So I suggest you leave this to 3 or 5 minutes. That is gonna be convenient. And maximum project versions, let's say you're gonna be working on a project for a pretty long time. So maximum project versions is the amount of copies that are gonna be stored for your project. If you set it to 20, when it exceeds to 21, the first project save will be deleted and it will be replaced by a new one, so you won't be harmed. And you can also save the backup projects to Creative Cloud if your hard drive fails for any reason, or maybe you are working on a server, so you can change this to Creative Cloud as well. Capture and device control, these are things you can check out yourself. I'm not going to be going through all that right now, since the video is going to be way more lengthier than you can expect it to be. So this is the capture device, what you're going to be using. That is not a big deal right now. These are some settings that you can change, level colors, things like that. These are level defaults. These are things I don't even care about. If you care about, you can change them. Okay, so now media, this is one important thing. Now this is media. Media is one important thing for this preference tab. If you have been working on Adobe Premiere Pro for a pretty long time, you should need to clean the media cache database because it's going to take a lot of hard disk space. So you might need to clean this. You can also change your media cache file location. Cache files are basically audio waveforms, video waveforms and things like that. So now memory. This is the amount of RAM that you're going to be allotting to your Premiere Pro. The rendering should be optimized for performance. I have installed 8 gigabytes of 1600 megahertz RAM, so I have given 6.5 gigabytes to Premiere Pro. The more amount of RAM you're going to be giving your Premiere Pro, the better the performance is going to be. So some other settings like playback, sync settings, trim and things like that, you can check this yourself out. This is not that important for this moment. This is not that important right now. So let's hit start. So this was the first episode on Premiere Pro Creative Cloud. This episode was just to get you acquainted with the atmosphere of Premiere Pro. We'll see you on the other side.